June 14th, still reading Witch King, and just for the record, this is Witch King. This cost $28.99 new. This is Murtagh. It cost $35.99, and it has that. It's heavy as fuck. I have to fucking use both hands or I will hurt my wrist. I can guarantee this has a fucking shiny hardcover. That's not a dust jacket. That's the book cover. Meanwhile, this has a dust jacket that is constantly slipping off as I am reading it and getting very irritated. And when you take off that, it's just solid blue with a really the worst signature I've ever seen. Do celebrities, like, do they have to try to make it a useless little fucking scribble? That's supposed to be Martha Wells' signature. For old people always being the ones going on about young people these days don't know how to write cursive, they sure as shit don't fucking actually write. Like, that's literally just a scribble. That's just a fucking scribble. And I guess that's supposed to be impressive. But, like, it's literally just, you take off the dust jacket and it's just a solid blue fucking thing with shiny gold and nothing else. And that's it. And then the dust jacket, I think I've mentioned it. While I'm reading, it's just constantly sliding around and being crooked. Like, there's no way to keep it even on the front and the back at the same time. It's either or. And it's just so irritating. And then there's Murtagh. How many pages? That Witch King is 414 pages. This is 702. And look at this shit. I'll try not to mess it up, but look at this shit. It's got a color map printed on the fucking thing at the back and another one at the front. And fancy fucking paper.
Not sure how
And
many
this,
pages Aragon is, but Christopher Paolini writes better.
just look at this shit.
16.
Look at this shit on the side of the page. And this only cost $5 more than this shit. And my bookmark is probably not helping. Oh, I guess I can use the dust jacket as a bookmark again. Hold on. This has more pages and they're bigger pages, so they're fitting more text on each page. And I guarantee you that unlike in Witch King, they're not just gonna sit around on a fucking boat accomplishing nothing. What's that fucking Shakespeare quote? Full of sound and fury and nothing else, something like that. Oh, damn, hold on. I wanted to make a quote from The Wizard of Oz because I am reading that and I say The Wizard of Oz. I just mean the general Oz stories by Frank Baum. Where is... I took the keyboard off. What's this one called? I don't have the document formatted properly on my phone. Oh, wait, I can just search the document. I'm going to read you guys a very funny quote that I think is very, 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 very funny. So, yes, you are just going to sit there. This is a special edition video. Number 15, I believe. Beep, beep, beep. Shush. Alright. So they in The Wizard of Oz, they pull up in their carriage. They ask, "Is this Rigmarole Town?" "Sir," replied the boy, "if you have traveled very much, you will have noticed that every town differs from every other town in one way or another, and by observing the methods of the people and the way they live, as well as the style of their dwelling places, it ought not to be a difficult thing to make up your mind, without the trouble of asking questions, whether the town bears the appearance of the one you intended to visit, or whether perhaps, having taken a different road from the one you should have taken, you have made an error in your way and arrived at some point where—" "Land sakes!" cried Aunt Em impatiently. "What's all this rigmarole about?" "That's it," said the wizard, laughing merrily. It's a rigmarole because the boy is a rigmarole, and we've come to Rigmarole Town." "Do they all talk like that?" asked Dorothy wonderingly. "He might have said yes or no, and settled the question," observed Uncle Henry. "Not here," said Omby Amby. "I don't believe the rigmaroles know what yes or no means." While the boy had been talking, several other people had approached the wagon and listened intently to his speech. Then they began talking to one another in long, deliberate speeches, where many words were used but little was said. But when the strangers criticized them so frankly, one of the women, who had no one else to talk to, began to address them, saying, "Oh, hold on. It is the easiest thing in the world for a person to say yes or no when a question that is asked for the purpose of gaining information or satisfying the curiosity of the one who has given expression to the inquiry has attracted the attention of an individual who may be competent either from personal experience or the experience of others to answer it with more or less correctness, or at least an attempt to satisfy the desire for information on the part of the one who has made the inquiry by—" "Dear me!" exclaimed Dorothy, interrupting the speech. "I've lost all track of what you were saying." "Don't let her begin again, for goodness sake!" cried Aunt Em. But the woman did not begin again. She did not even stop talking, but went right on as she had begun, the words flowing from her mouth in a stream. "I'm quite sure that if we waited long enough and listened carefully, some of these people might be able to tell us something in time," said the wizard. "Don't let's wait," returned Dorothy. "I've heard of the rigmaroles and wondered what they were like, but now I know, and I'm ready to move on." "So am I," declared Uncle Henry. "We're wasting time here." "Why, we're all ready to go," added the Shaggy Man, putting his fingers to his ears to shut out the monotonous babble of those surrounding the wagon. Blah, blah, blah. "If those people wrote books," Omby Amby remarked with a smile, "it would take a whole library to say the cow jumped over the moon." "Perhaps some of them do write books," asserted Little Wizard. "I've read a few rigmaroles that might have come from this very town." "Some of the college lecturers and ministers are certainly related to these people," observed the Shaggy Man, "and it seems to me that the Land of Oz is a little ahead of its time, a little ahead of the United States in some of its laws. For here, if one can't talk clearly and straight to the point, they send them to Rigmarole Town, while Uncle Sam lets them roam free and wild to torture innocent people." And then that ends with the moral. Dorothy was thoughtful. The rigmaroles had made a strong impression upon her. She decided that whenever she spoke, after this, she would use only enough words to express what she wanted to say. And see, those people were talking like that with 0 commas in that dialogue because that's the whole fucking joke. And then meanwhile, we've gotten past the halfway point of this book and practically nothing has happened because it is rigmarole. It's literally the fucking joke made. Let me check what year this book came out. This book is from... This is the Emerald City of... This joke was made in 1910. Huh?
Where's the Parmesan?
Doesn't that go in the fridge?
It doesn't have to.
I'm pretty sure we put it in the fridge. That's the joke from 1910 about... And, like... I just can't get over it. It's just so... It's hilarious to fucking read. And just the fact that it's written that way as a joke, and then here we have Martha Wells over 100 years later just doing that exact shit they're saying. There's so many words in this book. So many pages. This is what we've read. We are past the halfway point. We are now decreasing the amount of pages on the bottom here. But nothing has happened. They got on a boat. We were told that there would be really dramatic and lots of murder if they summoned an Immortal Fantasy Nazi, and then the Immortal Fantasy Nazi didn't do anything. Didn't even threaten anybody at all. And then we're now just on a different boat. It's a ghost boat now, but it's a boat, so they're just in a boat the whole time, and they still have not progressed a single thing. There's been zero world building. No, I lied. There was 0.00001% of the start of world building, and then that got interrupted. That tiny bit of world building was when Kai and Dahin were actually doing experimentation with demon magic to see what exactly you can do. Like, can you take the life out of this leaf? Yes, you can. Can you put it back? Yes, you can. That's as far as we got. They were going to test, can you take life out of that leaf and put it in this dead leaf that I just picked up off the ground? And we don't get to know because Martha Wells decided that's enough world building for this entire fucking novel and interrupted the scene so more bullshit could happen.
And that happened at the wrong spot because that
Yeah.
should have been a flat. That should.
That was like here-ish. That was not that long ago, and that should have been like the very fucking opening to the goddamn book. This whole thing should have been specifically. This whole thing should have just been written in fucking chronological order. We shouldn't be hopping back and forth along the stupid timelines. Just make this the actual fucking sequel to an earlier book. Just give us Kai's childhood as in chronological fucking order as its own goddamn thing. And then we get this. Or, all the intervening books that are clearly supposed to exist here. But it's just shit writing. And that joke from The Wizard of Oz is literally from 1910. So we are on chapter 11, which is page 232. Just for the record, again, we're now past the halfway point. We're here. Look how few pages remain as opposed to what we've read. And what's happened? They got on a boat. They got off that boat. They got on another boat. Nothing else has happened. I put the oven to 350 so it doesn't get burnt like last time. They have arrived at the Summer Halls, aka the place where the Cageling Demon Court was. Who knows how long ago? I sure fucking don't. The others were still asleep, and there was no reason to wake them now. He did nudge Zeddy through her heart pearl until she sat up, blinking and frowning at their surroundings. So, he's not gonna bother waking anybody else up, and then in the exact same paragraph, he wakes Zeddy up. Okay. She groaned under her breath and said with their heart walkie-talkies, I'm saying that part, I hate this place. I forgot how much I hated it. It's the same weather as the day we escaped. He was suddenly uncertain. Isn't it? I'm not imagining that. No, it's the same, she whispered aloud. We're turning a page. Page 234. I guess I can close the Wizard of Oz. If you've forgotten why they're here, they're supposedly here to find a finding stone, not capitalized, that they're gonna use to find Ta-Ren. Because I guess we're supposed to care about Ta-Ren, even though I don't care about her. let alone either of these two, because they're literally just terrible people who have no personality besides being terrible people and then telling each other very clearly through the author's like heartfelt something. You're righteously angry. Don't let anybody tell you you're a
Therapy speak is
bad
what people
person.
call it.
Huh?
People call that kind of stuff therapy speak.
No, it's through the author is very heartfeltly believes that these characters are righteously angry.
Yeah.
That's why ZD's entire personality is being edgy and saying edgy things and nothing else and being cruel to children. There's literally nothing about her that is likable. We get told by Ramad, I realized last night I'd lost count of the days. Yesterday was the Imperial Rising World renewal. Imperial Rising World are capitalized. Renewal is not. We don't know what that fucking means because this is shittily written as though it's the fourth book in a fucking series. I will presume from the word renewal it's like an election or just something. There's no world building besides that 0.0001% that was immediately interrupted. And that had nothing to do with the so-called politics. Because it's shittily written. And then immediately following that statement by Ramad, Kai locked gazes with Zedi. Well, good to have it over with, he said, as if it didn't matter. Every time Martha Wells tells us what kind of food they have, it's just making me ask more fucking questions. Tenez slipped out of the tent with a supply bag, Sanjo behind her. They passed out food, some stale millet bread left over from their stop at the last market, as well as melon, pickled eggplant, and dried waterweed. Is this an alternate Earth? Why do they have all of these things?
You should clarify. Asking makes me ask more questions, not in a good way, not in a fun way.
Meh. Apparently, we're just getting told more shit that's badly written and weird, and also this one sentence just is terribly written. Blah, 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 blah. Ramad's like, hey, do you think they have a guard on this place? Because they're just boating up to it. Blah, and then Zedi's like, because Ramad's like, there must still be valuable stuff in there, right? And then Zedi's like, others have. I'll just read you the dialogue because it's all shit. What are the chances of someone Ramad, what are the chances of someone stationed here to guard this place? What are the chances of someone stationed here to guard this place? Someone being stationed here to guard this place? Kai, as a Rising World vanguarder, don't you know? Ramad, I don't know every move the Empire makes, no. There must still be things of value if no one's been here since the hierarchs fell. Ziti, others have returned here, or tried to. I heard they made it up to the top, but realized there was no point in continuing. Kai, they did. That was when they destroyed the bridge. Ramad, so the interior really is flooded the way the stories say? Ziti, oh, it's flooded all right. Kai did it. Kai, it was an accident. And then they stop talking. I guess. That's where that conversation ends. After Kai says it was an accident, Kai looked around to see Tenez was curious and Sanja judgmental. What? Why is Sanja judgmental? And there's no commas in that at all. Kai looked around to see Tenez was curious and Sanja judgmental. That doesn't make any fucking sense for what we know of Sanja, which is she doesn't know anything. Why would Sanja be judgmental? I'm guessing just to remind us that Kai as a demon is supposed to be a poor, oppressed minority. And that's why nobody likes him. It's not because of, all the crimes, including war crimes we now know. Which is what it is when a demon steals a living person's body instead of being gifted a body. That's a war crime. But Kai's a poor, oppressed minority. It's not his fault he did a war crime. And why is Martha Wells telling us that now in the present when we haven't even gotten to that point in the past? I'm on page 236. We've managed to turn pages. Apparently power wells can just form naturally if there's a bunch of death and water. So there's now a small natural power well at the summer halls, as though that matters to us in any fucking way. And Kai says, I wonder if anyone's ever used it. He felt prickles of ill ease chase up and down the skin of his back. Because I guess it's okay for Kai to desecrate a mass grave of genocide when he literally doesn't have to, but just the idea of somebody maybe using a naturally forming power well, that's scary. Apparently, if water smells bad, that's an indication that it's probably poisoned, because swamps don't exist. at the bottom of page 236, we get, it was Sanja who asked, how did an accident make it flood? I don't know why she would be the one asking that question, but whatever. I'm now on page 237, where Kai's like, it's a long story. I'll tell you later. Below, there's a really long paragraph that's unnecessary. Sandra grumbled something and Tenez poked her in the ribs. So I guess they are somehow making friends with each other despite not being able to talk to each other.
She's had no I assume there's been no background effort.
Nope, and this is the first time that we see Tenez and Sanja like doing anything even remotely. They might have a friendship. Like, look how many pages we've read. We're on page 237. There are so many opportunities for Martha Wells to just show us very simply that they are friends, and they are making friends, and they are interacting. We don't get that. Tenez poking Sanja in the ribs after Sanja's grumbling something. That's the biggest amount of interaction these characters have had in 237 pages, where they've been here the whole time.
There's people who try to say this book is good. They totally enjoyed it, really.
You have to talk louder. You're way too far away.
The people who think that they like this book, but even they have to mention in their review that it took more than 75% to get to that point of liking it. They'll try to say that this book is character-driven, or driven by the bonds of these characters. None of this is.
There's no bonds between these characters at all. Literally, it's a single sentence, slightly above the middle of page 237. Sandra grumbled something and Tenez poked her in the ribs. That is literally the most interaction these two have had this whole time. That was not initiated by somebody else telling them, go sit over there with Tenez. Like, I'm gonna need descriptions of flowers if I'm, like, but here's a sentence from still page 237. The years of abandonment showed in the plaza on the far side of the pool, where clumps of flowers and mosses had sprouted in every crack and gap. What kind of flowers, though? There's so many fucking flowers. She's not even telling us what color they are. Just imagine whatever fucking flowers. I assume all the pizza's done.
Yep.
Okay, well, we're gonna end this video so I can eat some fucking pizza. Like, she's not even telling us what colors the flowers are. Are they orange flowers? Are they blue flowers? Are they purple? Are they white? How big are they? Are we talking lilies? Are we talking little tiny rock bells? You have to fucking specify this shit. There's literally no point in making us read useless descriptions if it's not even actually going to describe anything. You can't just say, flowers grew up from the cracks in the fucking sidewalk. Alright, what kind of flowers? You have to tell us at least what color they are, how big they are they the size of your fist or the size of your pinky nail? Come on, people. Or, not even people, Martha Wells, come on, tell me what color the fucking flowers are. Alrighty, bye-bye.